Welcome back to the Running Real Estate Podcast. Today, I am excited for a different perspective here with our guest. Today, we're getting a perspective of somebody who is the Maryland State surfing champion. He's also a high school senior. He is very active in the community. Somebody I've known since he was little. He's been friends with my son for years, and excited to have him on here to give us the perspective of what it's like to not actually move here, but somebody who's grown up here and has experienced the lifestyle of living in the greater Ocean City area. So excited to introduce you to Finn Ramnarine. And hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad.
No, you did perfect. Sounded perfect.
Okay, Finn. So we got you on here. Excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. So a couple reasons I wanted to get Finn on here. Like I said, Finn's family, you guys have been family friends for years. You've been friends with my son. So I've known you for a real long time. I've got to see you kind of grow up and watch kind of what you've gotten into. But Finn is not only going to give us his perspective of what it's like to be a local and kind of talk about the surfing community a little bit, but Finn is actually coming on as an employee. He's doing some work study with our company here, finishing up, getting ready to graduate, right?
Yep. Like 5 more months and then I'm good to go. So I'm happy to be working with you for the next 5 months. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. You are the youngest member to ever be on this podcast.
Really?
Yep. So we've got a lot of firsts here today. First time we've ever had a Maryland State surfing champion. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But so just a couple months left in your senior year. What kind of emotions are you feeling?
It's kind of crazy to even think about it because everyone says high school is going to go really slow. High school is slow. You have so much time, but I feel like I was a freshman like last week, and now I'm a senior, and I have 5 months to go. I mean, it's surreal. I mean, I'm applying to schools and everything, so it's like hard to believe, even talk about it sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it had to have kind of been a slow process, but super fast at the same time. Well, like you said, almost surreal, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys started your high school career when we were locked down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you guys kind of that 24 class definitely experienced some interesting times.
Yeah, I mean, my whole freshman year I was online, and then the next year we were in mask and distance in school. We had to be 6 feet from other people, couldn't work together. So it's kind of interesting. It was a weird high school experience.
And then now, like the last year and a half or so, you've been back to almost complete normal.
Yeah, it's basically normal high school now.
So flipping a switch.
Yep.
All right. So senior year, soccer player. You've been extremely active in soccer for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved with soccer since I was probably 8 years old. I drive across the bridge, do all that. I used to play in a league called National League, and that was the whole East Coast and basically out to Arizona would go, and we would have to travel and do soccer and ID camps and college things out there. I stopped doing that when I was 16 years old, though, because I got burnt out, and I liked surfing too much. So I had to risk soccer so I could surf more.
Right. Well, I can totally understand that. Going across the bridge all the time is a commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's commitment from you and your parents.
Yeah, I have to thank my dad for that. We did a lot of drives together.
Right. Yeah, I've been there. So that's great. But then you continued on with soccer through high school?
Yep.
Scholastically?
Yep, I did 4 years on the varsity team for Decatur, and that was probably the most fun I've ever had with soccer. Just playing high school sports is surreal, and just being with the people, being down here, it's just nice because even after practice in the summer, we go to the beach, and we just had a lot of opportunities to do stuff around here, so it was nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, growing up at the beach, the interesting thing, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here is to get your perspective. But as you and I mentioned kind of last week when we were kind of trying to put this together, your work study program, what it might look like, one thing I mentioned to you is this idea that so many of our clients, they're not originally from here. They came here as kids. They came on vacation. They came here as adults, and now they want to buy a property at the beach, or they have bought a property at the beach, right?
Yeah.
And they get that perspective not necessarily from a full-time world, but they come in, they enjoy it, then they fly out or they drive back home, so they're in and out. They get to experience the best of what we have, but they're not here year round. And that was one thing, I wanted to have you on here. But when we talk about year-round living at the beach, while at the same time trying to be that normal high schooler, right? It's an interesting dynamic being a normal high schooler, but also having the beach right at a couple miles away to be able to go to and have fun.
Yeah, I know, 100%. Going back to when I used to play soccer, I used to play on a team across the bridge in Baltimore, and I'd play with all those kids there. And I'd say, like, after my high school practice, we would all go to the beach together, or we'd go to the Aztec where you can drive onto the beach with your cars. And they were all like, well, that's crazy. I can't even believe you can do that. I was like, I can do that every day if I wanted to, which is like, for some people, it's crazy. It's almost normal to me, but it's crazy to a lot of people because they don't have that experience. Right. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's what they strive for. That's what they want. They want to be just like you.
Yeah.
And I'm a come here, right? I came, my wife Christy and I, our progression to Ocean City, was that we grew up in central Pennsylvania. We came here as kids. We vacationed. As soon as I could get my first boogie board, I got the Maury boogie board, and I was into it. And I remember watching the movie North Shore, and I wanted to become this surfer and move to the beach, right?
Yeah.
And so that was like our perspective. And honestly, that planted the seed. So we eventually did move to the beach. We started as summer residents, and then we ended up living here and ended up, moving here permanently and getting into real estate. And my goal was to make it a spot where my kids could grow up at the beach and do exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
One thing that I think about is so many of the kids that grow up here, and even I think some of my kids sometimes, they don't necessarily realize what they have when it comes to the beach.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there's so much more that you can do, and it's a lot to do with the outdoors. You could fish, you can surf. I mean, I do a lot of people hunt around here. I mean, there's a lot of variety you can do when living down at the coast. I'm big into surfing and fishing. I hunt a little bit. I don't do that much. But you can drive on Aztec as well, have bonfires. You can do that year-round. They have the campground there, so you could even stay overnight. You can go all the way up to Indian River Inlet, and you can stay up there. There's campground there, and it's just like really cool, like what you can do around here. But you got to explore and you got to figure that out. And a lot of people don't do that, and that's what sucks.
Right. Right. And I think that's why I wanted to have Finn on here a little bit too, is part of what he's going to be doing is kind of chronicling the Eastern Shore here, the area that we live in, that he's experienced growing up since he was a kid, and being able to share some of that outdoor living, that lifestyle living, and combine that with why, a buyer might want to buy, why you might want to own, why you might want to live here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I liked what you said earlier about you and Miss Christy moved down here and you guys want to start a family here. I feel like that's a dream that I would want to put into someone because I'm so happy that I grew up here. I think if I didn't grow up on the coast, I would have been a completely different person. And I'm so happy who I am today. So if I could, not making a lot of mini-me's, but have a lot of people and kids who get to experience what I got to experience growing up, that'd make me feel good. You know? Yeah. That was the dream. That was why. Yeah. That's why Christy and I ran away here, and that's I guess why we're still kind of here. Is this? It's a fantastic spot. Yeah.
When you are a come here, you kind of put the beach lifestyle on this pedestal. Right? It's this dream where when you're here, sometimes you don't expect or you don't respect what you actually have.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely, but. And then again, I couldn't see myself living in a city, So I'm so glad I am on the coast.
Right, yeah. Right. I think it's that sense of relief, what I always notice, and people explain this to me. Like, we go over to Baltimore, you did it all the time, playing sports, your dad taking you up there. But coming across, as soon as you get across that Bay Bridge and you're back on the Eastern Shore, it's like a little bit of a sense of relief.
Yeah, it's a smell. Sometimes the smell gets me. I'm like, oh, there's the chicken farms. I'm at home.
Right. Well, I like to bypass the chicken farms right to the beach and smell the suntan lotion.
Yeah, there you go.
But, so, all right, I want to get into this. We talked about it briefly, but, you were very much involved in the conventional sports world, playing soccer, doing fantastic, the highest level that you could possibly be, on the East Coast here and kind of nationally. But then you got the surfing bug. Yeah. So, and that was a little bit later than maybe some people experienced. So tell me a little bit about that journey. How did that come into play?
Yeah, so I was in 6th grade, and my friend asked me to go surfing with him. And I'd always been in the water and around the water and doing stuff with the water and stuff. But I'd never truly, had a surfboard, ran into the water, going to catch waves. I just wanted to go mess around in there. So my friend asked me to go surfing. I think honestly I was a little bit embarrassed. I was like, all these kids know how to surf, and they've grown up here, and I've grown up here. I don't know how to surf. So I asked my mom, and she took me for surf lessons at the wave riding school down at 36th Street, and I started doing that and doing the surf school over and over again. I fell in love with it. The surfing bug bit me. Now I'm stuck doing it over and over. I love surfing now. I can't even imagine my life without it. But it was nice because doing it there, that was my first job too ever, like away from my parents, was being a surf instructor, and that was super cool too because I got to like teach people how to surf. I taught a 2-year-old how to surf, and I taught a 74-year-old lady how to surf. So it's super cool, like seeing all these people. I get to share like a stoke with them, almost like teaching them. So that really like grew my love of surfing, and then I started doing it competitively. And that's how I met my best friend today, Kai Summers. His mom was the director of the Eastern Surfing Association, the ESAs. Yeah. So I started doing those and made a friend, and we always would do them every year. I started in 2018. I stopped doing them in 2021. And 2021, I won the state championship that year for U18.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which is no small task. I mean, or no small feat. I mean, to think about it, you go from, a great swimmer, you're being around pools, which we can talk about in a minute here. But, I mean, you've always been around the water, and then you get into surfing, you pick it up quick, you have a passion for it, so you keep pushing, and then before you know it, you're competing, and then you win the state championship. Yeah,
it was such a good day, I remember. I think it's still on my Instagram to this day, the pace of me winning.
Well, it should be.
Yeah. It's awesome. I saw the trophy pasted right up in my closet. It's like right in the front when you open it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a huge feat, like I mentioned, and I think it's something you're always going to want to hold on to.
Yeah, it's a memory.
Yeah, that's right. So you've been able to experience the surfing world. Now you, as we were talking about off camera a little bit, you're not necessarily competing as much, but it's you. It's part of your lifestyle. It's part of your fabric. That's what you do now.
I need surfing. It sounds really cliche to say that, but I literally need surfing. It's more like, it's almost like a therapy thing for me now. Like everyone has those tough days, rough days. You're stressed out. You have school. I'm being a senior. It's like applying to colleges. It's just all so much. So I mean, just throwing on the wetsuit and jumping in the water and catching a few waves, it kind of like drowns all that out. And I wish everyone could experience that. I say this to my mom all the time, which is kind of funny. I wish everyone could experience getting barreled once in their life. And moving down to the beach would help that, just give you the opportunity. Because getting barreled, I think, is the best thing that I've ever done in my whole life. I have a lot of accomplishments, not to brag about myself, but getting barreled is the coolest thing I've ever done. I mean, it's surreal. You're like riding in a wave surrounded by water, but you're not getting wet. It's like hard to wrap your mind around almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, like I said earlier, watching the movie North Shore,
Bonsai
Pipeline, that's what, people, me as a kid, dreamed about.
And, me too.
Kelly Slater's and, the whole surf movies and everything. But, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk more about this, or we're going to probably get into, I imagine you're going to get into some more of what it's like to, like I said, focus on a lifestyle and then maybe move to an area around that lifestyle. But let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. I've sold real estate now for almost 22 years. I've had a lot of great clients over the years. And, I come across people that is their passion. They want to move to the beach. They would love to learn how to surf, but they don't know how to go about doing it. So what would you recommend for somebody, whether it's, a family that moves here and they got little kids and they want to get them involved, or maybe it's somebody who's, my age, 40, mid-40s, kind of having not a midlife crisis, but thinking, what, I want to revisit my youth and I want to get into surfing. What would be a good first step?
Yeah, my way to go about it is always do a surf lesson first. I mean, a lot of people go in with the mind says, it's not that bad, it's not that easy, I can figure it out myself. I would go for a surf lesson. I did it. I turned out to be a Maryland champ. My best friend did it. He was actually an East Coast champion. So we all started with surf lessons. So I'd go the wave riding school and take a surf lesson there. If you move down to Ocean City, I think that's a great place. I worked there for 3 years. I'm really happy. I did a great job teaching. I know other people there did a great job teaching. So I definitely, first step is to take a surf lesson and see if you actually like it. I'm sure you will. Some people may not get a little jumpy with the waves, but see if you like it and then start throwing money at the surfing cause.
Yeah, you can throw a lot of money at it.
You can throw a lot of money at it,
or not. You don't have to.
You can. If you don't have the funds to do it, there's always a way around. There's also, you go on Facebook Marketplace, get an old board. K-Coast, they have a used surfboard rack. I mean, there's definitely ways to save money around it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Maybe that can be part of your insider tips in one of your series.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, so I'm excited, and once again, to our listeners here, what you can look forward to is seeing Finn a little bit more behind the camera and in front of the camera, kind of talking about some of the areas here on the shore that may be good for surfing, outdoor lifestyle, and then how that comes and relates back to real estate. So before I let you go here today, what are you most excited for between now and the end of your senior year?
You know what? It sounds like cliche because we're just talking about it, but surfing in the winter, we're still in a pretty good winter spell right now. So I'm excited between like February and March. I'm excited to get a few more good swells. And then I guess I'm excited to graduate, realistically. I'm not the biggest advocate of school, and it sounds terrible to say. I don't really like school, but I'm ready to get out of there and figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. So
I think that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I've got an 18-year-old who thinks the same way. He's ready for the next chapter. It's like we talked about. It takes a long time, but it also goes by in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Exactly.
And,
so I'm glad I grew up here. So at least it went by fast here, get that beach.
Well, good. So, Finn, I appreciate you taking the time here to kind of talk to our listeners and be able to introduce you to them. Excited to see a few more projects coming from you here in the future.
I'm excited. Yeah, I've already started pulling some old clips off my phone and my old camera, and we said some little surfing documentaries I have, and even I have like places like up in Fenwick and Delaware too that I used to take videos. So I have a lot to share to the world.
That sounds good. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, Finn, our audience, we're going to connect the two of you more here as we go through the next couple weeks. But thanks again, Finn. Mm-hmm. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this information, please share it with a friend, subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week with another edition of the Running Real Estate Podcast.